All right, so the application of collective bargaining, of collective bargaining agreements, how is this relevant to schools, to the classroom, to students, to teachers? How does it influence these different groups? So I'm going to talk about that. So all teachers unions, we've been talking about teachers unions so far in this presentation, and all teachers unions to some extent include some form of collective bargaining. So, a number of teachers' unions, the American Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, the National Union of Teachers, the Association of Teachers and Lecturers, the California Teachers Association. There's plenty of teachers' unions that use and incorporate the process of collective bargaining to indeed develop these contracts that are very, very, very important for teachers and very much influence teachers classroom culture, as schools culture. And again, it's one of these things that kind of takes place behind the scenes where students are never really going to know or be in tune unless the teacher were to inform the students of some of these things, because these take place behind the scenes. They're not directly taking place in the classroom, but it's a lot of these, again, that the students don't quite know. Some of the stuff that these teachers are negotiating that ultimately is to benefit the students, right? It's going to benefit teachers, but ultimately it's going to benefit these students as well. So the teachers unions are designed to protect teachers, and then these CBAs are designed to protect both the union and the teachers as they come to an agreement of what is expected of these teachers, or what their rights are, what their we talked before, wages are and stuff like that. So throughout these meetings, they're discussing these different sorts of things. So remember, this is like a labor contract. This is a contract that both parties go into some sort of agreement, some sort of a ratification process when they finally reach and sign this contract. It doesn't only affect teachers; it affects teachers, librarians, school counselors, anyone that essentially works at the school. This is gonna affect them. These contracts, settlements, when they finally come to an agreement, this can be a very long process. It can take up to a year to decide or to agree upon some of these things. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, once they do, have a contract signed, and if they want to make changes to that contract, they have to do so within the agreed upon amount of time. Or after they sign that contract, they can come back and revise or edit or ratify certain parts of that contract, or areas they want to revisit or reprioritize or something like that. And so I was talking about this with my master teacher, and she's a part of one teacher union in particular. She's part of the California Teachers Association, and I was asking about this collective bargaining process, and she's been to a handful of meetings. She sits on one of the advisory councils at my school, and I was asking her how does this influence you as a teacher, how does it influence your students or our students, and how does it influence the classroom? And essentially, these unions and these agreements are designed to protect and serve these teachers. And so one thing they talk about is teachers' hours. So oftentimes, a teacher, the day ends when the last period ends. That's when they come up with in a contract. But what if you have an instance where a student comes in, you say that the day ends at 3 p.m. and that's in the teacher's contract, that they are done with their work responsibilities at 3 p.m. Say a student comes in at 3:15, and is it up to the teacher to decide? Okay, I want to help this student. Does this student need help? Or in effect, the teacher, if they were to help, or say I was in my student teaching in my own classroom, and I was on contract with my union, and I agree that my end time for the day was end of 6th period at 3 p.m. My student comes in at 3:15. Do I help this student because they need help? But in effect, I'm breaking my union contract. Those things you have to consider, even as you set boundaries for yourself, but also you have to follow. How best are you going to follow your contract, what you devise in your collective bargaining agreement? So that has an influence on both the teacher and the student, because the student might not be able to receive help, or the student might have to come back the next day to receive help. Because the teacher, as a teacher, you want to follow your union contract to the best of your ability, but you also want to help your students. So that's definitely one implication this has for teachers inside the classroom.